what's likely to happen in the future. So I have to say, I thought it didn't do a service to the public.
Martin, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you again because none of us have that. You're obviously disappointed with tonight.
No, there seems to be a common view among the candidates here that the entire focus was on the past and not on what we as President would do in the future. And I think that was a great
Well, we did get asked that in the last minute. Can I say, my difficulty was that at one stage I was asked 3 or 4 questions, all in one big bunch. And then I was interrupted. Now, Miriam was a great interviewer, but the format perhaps is a bit wrong. And if you try to answer questions and you interrupt, you get them all in a bunch. I mean, then you have to be allowed time to answer. And I certainly did my best.
What would you have wanted?
Well, I would want them to be asked questions clearly and allowed an opportunity to answer them directly, simply, clearly and articulately. And if you say that you're not going to ask about lessons, and you say that for about 3 minutes in different ways, and then I'm cut off and I'm trying to answer the question, I mean, the question has already been asked and answered by the interviewer.
I think it's very difficult when there are 7. Can I? Well, let's get one at a time.
Yeah, look, sorry. Let Peter, can we start again?
Share this.
And by the way, we've got 10 minutes in the maximum, and the clock has started rolling.
Dave, start talking.
Can I just say that I think it's really difficult. I think it's really difficult with 7 candidates.
Hasn't started properly, Mary.
And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to have debate and exchange. So I think we have to be realistic about that. With 7 candidates, any format is very difficult. I think the only way you can really put your stall forward is if you're interviewed on a one-to-one basis. And I think in the circumstances, it was as much as could be expected with 7 candidates. We did. I think there was an attempt to be fair and let people have their say and to put difficult questions to people. But the format of 7 people is in itself a difficulty for anybody to try and produce and to organise.
Well, do you all feel now, you know, that you have another one coming up, Pat Kenny, the front line.
And we have TG Carr.
Yeah, but do you think now that they should, you know, continue with 7 people? You know, you're all saying the same thing, that you're not getting enough time. So there really are examples.
The greatest disappointment has to be that none of the candidates got a real opportunity to outline their vision of the future. The big focus was on looking at all of the candidates in relation to the past, and that took up the bulk of the show. Whereas I think the viewer wanted to see what the candidates had to say about what happened in the present and what is going to happen in the future. And there wasn't enough time given.
Well, I agree with Martin, and may I say, that throws down a very clear challenge to Pat Kenny and front line. I think it's probably obvious that we've all dealt with the past. Frank O'Connor wrote a book decrying the fact that we live in the past, the backward look. Let's look forward. We're in the 2nd decade of the 21st century. We're going to have a president who will be there during the anniversary of the foundation of the state with 1916, the proclamation, cherishing all the children of the nation equally. We've all spoken about that. And I think it would be very important that we discuss these things and advance ideas as to how we could celebrate the anniversary of 1916. And I've made various suggestions about that. I'm not sure whether they've been carried. I won't make them again tonight because I want to let other people speak. But let us all ask RTE take a positive role in ensuring that everybody gets a proper opportunity to lay out their stall and to look to the future. And I would remind you that I'm the only candidate, and I don't remember any election where this happened, that even before nomination, there was a concerted attempt to block my nomination. That's undemocratic. I need an opportunity to let the Irish people see the real David Norris. And that's all I need to say.
Michael, if we could have Michael G, let's...
Well, if I might say, David will know that I was one who made sure that he wasn't blocked, at least as far as I could offer an opinion. I do think that the format is very difficult. And, you know, I think as the remaining time, there are very different experiences each of the candidates. They come from different mindsets, from different sets of experience. I've explained what my own is. I won't waste time on that. And then the next part of it is there are very fundamental issues that are arising in all of the communities we're visiting. And then we also differ in relation to the vision we have. For example, are we talking about reviving a model of society and economy and a connection that has failed us? Or are we talking about getting to a different place? I have, when I announced my own manifesto last May, said I'm talking about the second, that I'm talking about getting to an entirely different place. But that means the President's role is, of course, has to have a healing one, but we need to be able to reflect the vulnerabilities that are there in the society. We also need to be able to encourage and create hope, but we also need to be able to encourage people's capacity to take stock of the values that brought them to where they are now, and the values that are necessary to get to a new place. And I'd love to have that debate. I think as well. That's it.
10 minutes. And
I'm finished now. But I'm finished now.
Any question maybe you want to
Yes. I think the people who've been interviewed can leave and leave the floor.
You're all tired.
We're all tired, exactly. And you must be too.
And Miriam is here.
Yes,
here. I want a quick word, Miriam.
Any questions for Sean?
Never lost credit, Sean, you know, here tonight, that, you know, 7 people too much, and that everyone's focused in the past, not the future. Do you agree with that?
I agree with 7 candidates. It's very difficult to get to a level of discussion and to get to the meat. I think what we're getting is a minute or two and sound bites. And really, many of us get to our first point. Mine is about enterprise and jobs, but I want to get to community, I want to get to education, I want to get to disability. And of course, you know, that takes time to set out the stall, and it's very difficult. And so there is a challenge, I think, in the next debate to see if we can leave what's already been addressed in other debates and move to our vision for the future, and let's focus on that exclusively.
Which for, as President, sure, what we do about education, jobs, all of things with disability, all the things that we've just mentioned, are, you know, they're not really part of the presidency, are they?
I actually believe they are, and this is where we were talking about the softer powers. I mean, I spend so much time in schools and colleges. I made the commitment earlier today at Bernardo's conference that I would make a commitment to use my energy to visit every single secondary school in Ireland, to make sure that every single secondary student would meet the President. And on the basis of how education formed my life and changed my life as somebody who grew up with a disability, the teachers nurtured me and built my character. And I wanted to say to all those kids and young people in school that 40 years ago, when I was struggling with visual impairment and teachers thought that I wouldn't amount to much, that now, 40 years later, I hand in my nomination paper to stand for the President of Ireland. And if I can do that, every single child in college can do that, and school. And that's about inspiring hope. And I think the President can do that at home, as well as representing the country abroad. And I think we need to get to these broader issues.
And how did you feel about Miriam bringing up the loan of 20,000 euros?
You know, I mean, these are things, every candidate has to address issues, and of course, you know, people will be looking into our backgrounds and under every lid and opening every drawer. I explained the issue that I got an amount of seed capital of 20,000. I've repaid 19,000 of it. And I've,
why not 100,000?
well, again, as I explained, you know, this was an issue that was brought to my attention. I've absolutely immediately informed my legal and finance people to deal with it and come to a resolution. That was the resolution that was agreed on both sides. And out of that 20,000, I set up a company that created 100 jobs almost and made a major contribution. And I've continued to help hundreds, if not thousands, of others to set up businesses. And so, you know, these are issues that have to be addressed. We have to face them, give an explanation, and get on. And one of the things I said from the outset, I will answer every question as directly as possible, and I will not engage in negative campaigning. And I continue to do both of them.
Sean, could I just pick up one thing there? You said you're going to answer every question as honestly as you can.
Yeah.
One area that perhaps you have avoided is when you're asked about Fianna Fáil, and you keep saying you're an independent candidate and you're not a Fianna Fáil candidate.
Yeah.
But again, when Miriam asked you tonight, would you condemn the decisions of the likes of Bertie Ahern, the likes of you know, Charles Hyde, Charlie McCreevy, that have left so many people struggling in this country. You will not condemn any decisions made by Fianna Fáil politicians. So can I ask you again, who is responsible for the position that this country is in? Is it Fianna Fáil?
Well, is it solely Fianna Fáil? It's the government have the responsibility to run the country, and therefore they must accept that responsibility. Let me make it very clear, because this has continued on. I am not a Fianna Fáil candidate. I'm an independent candidate. I've been nominated by 4 councillors. Secondly, I've never been a politician. Let me explain also that I did attend 2 meetings of the party executive, which, if you read Steve Collins, Michael Clifford and others, and Shane Coleman, will tell you that that's an organisation committee. It's not a cabinet, and it deals with organisation issues, not about matters of policy. Now, I'm not ashamed.
Director of elections.
Hold on a second.
You were a director of elections.
Can I just finish?
But you were a director of elections. You weren't just attended 2 meetings.
Excuse me. Could I finish this point? So the issue is how comes up about the National Executive, and I have been a grassroots member, and I think, you know, the presidency is not about party politics, and yet party politics is coming into it. I've always supported the view that we need to have people involved in politics, but this isn't about party politics. Now, to address your other issue, yes, between 1993 and 2007, I was not involved in any political activity. In 2007, I was asked by my local TD, Deputy Seamus Kirk, if I would help direct his campaign. A very honourable man of great integrity, I directed his campaign. He went on to become Can Corlia, a man respected in every part of the House. For 2 meetings of the National Executive, I attended to advance specifically the legislation for subcontractors. I then moved away and didn't attend any further National Executive meetings, and then the following February I advanced that legislation, which is now part of government and will by November, according to the government, will be enacted. Now, there's my track record.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mary
and Miriam, because we've 2 minutes and 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, I just want to say this is not a political role as Gay Mitchell mentioned earlier on, and Michael Higgins. This is a role representing the people of Ireland. That is what it is. It is a non-political role, the office of the President, and that's the reason that I have stood for it. My agenda is people agenda. We got a lot of speak inside about politicians and what they do and what they wouldn't do. I have been working for change all my life. I've been working to remove stigma, and we've managed to do that in the area of disability over 30 or 40 years. There are other stigmas in society now that I do want to address, and I have to say I did express my frustration tonight at some of the things we were talking about, because people at home, it's things that are of concern to them, real live issues in their lives. That's what the people want to hear, whoever the next president is going to be. That's what they want to hear them talk about. Now, in relation to the work abroad and representing Ireland and foreign direct investment, I have said yes, I would do that, and of course I would, because I have worked in 58 countries, I've worked in the States, I've worked in China, so that can be done. But to be honest, that's a given, and all candidates are saying that. What I'm interested in is what the President can do to rebuild communities, to bring hope, to bring confidence to people. That's what people want. People want to believe in themselves. If we don't believe in ourselves, we can't believe in our future. And that's what I would love to have the debate around. It's Mental Health Week. Surely we should be discussing mental health and what we can do and how we can highlight the issues and how we can be a voice for people that do not have a voice. Children that are living in poverty, women that are being trafficked and exploited. These are the areas. The work that Sister Stan and many other people, Paul Kelly in the whole area of mental health, and Caroline McGuinness in SOS. These are the people that are really working in the communities. Let's talk about them and how the President can help them and help the issues that they care about. Because that's what I'm hearing on the ground. Everywhere I go, that's what interests people.
Mary, do you think the debate was a success?
Well, I think it is very difficult to conduct a debate with 7 people, and I think Miriam did a very good job of it. I suppose what I would have liked to have seen is more interaction in relation to what everybody can bring to the presidency rather than on the background. Although I do also understand that character and personality are very important, and we do need to know the background and we do need to know the character of that. And I think what Miriam was trying to do was draw that out of people tonight. Maybe there's a feeling that people haven't revealed their background and haven't showed full transparency. And if that is the case, yes, then that needs to be done. And Miriam was doing her job very effectively in that regard.
Can we wrap this up?
And we've just got to talk
Just
to
before
Miriam.
we come to Miriam, I mean, Miriam is not a spokesperson for RTE. Can we get an answer as to why RTE facilitated the scuttling of Dana out the side door?
Nobody scuttled Dana out the side door. She wanted to leave. She was tired and emotional. I think that's ridiculous. Scuttle her out the side door. Will you choose the language more carefully?
Well, she was brought out the side door.
She wanted to go out the side door. She wanted to go out the side door.
Everybody else who came here for a press conference, she came in the front door. Why did she not go out the front door?
She was upset and tired. Is that not a human reaction?
And
any questions, Miriam?
Okay, I have.
She's not going to scuttle out any door, Miriam, are you?
If only I could. Miriam, if I could ask you, we've been hearing now from all the candidates. Every debate we've had, they've all said 7 too many, can't get across our points of view. Why did Prime Time pick the same, the seven altogether? Why not do it over 2 nights? Or come up with some different sort of format.
How would you split them? Which 3 would you take in one and which 4 in the
I'm asking Miriam. You said Miriam would answer this.
Funny enough, we thought about splitting them, but then you couldn't agree on the split. Who do you split people with? Political, non-political? It wasn't agreed. People didn't want to be sitting beside certain people and beside other people on a different night. So we thought about it, but it's not practical. You can't do that. They are equal. And the most important thing about debates like this is that they are equal as fair, which is why we talk about timing them. Like all the time in my ear, it's making sure they get the same amount of time. And, the most important thing as well, the first 20 minutes was all about the powers of the president. So it really wasn't all about the past.
Okay. Well, they clearly don't feel that they're getting their message across, which is what they want to do. They want to talk about the future and getting their message across.
But I mean, the President of Ireland is ultimately a vote about character. And that very much is about the person. And some of that is your past. Not all of it. Tonight, actually, the first 20 minutes and the last 15 minutes were not about the past. And in fact, we talked, the one time they did kind of interact was it a political, was it a non-political role? I thought that was very interesting. They hadn't discussed things like that before. So there was a lot of interaction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. Well done, Miriam. You must be